Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the first of a mini series that I'm going to be starting, which is a week-to-week thing that I'm going to be going through the albums that come out each week and just talk about them. It's going to be different genres: pop, alternative rock, anything that really comes out that I'm interested in listening to. I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to give you my rating of the score and everything like that. For me, when I'm rating albums, anything that is above, if it's a 60 and above, I think that the album is overall good. I think it's good. 70, it's pretty good. I would go back and listen to some of the songs off of there, maybe a song or two, maybe just like the project felt really cohesive. And like 80, 90 obviously just gets better and better. Now if it's 50, it's kind of just like a mid album, you know what I mean? Like it's just there. Like I probably won't go back to it. I wouldn't say it's bad, I wouldn't say it's good either though. And then 40s, 30s, they're like it's just it's mostly majority just and then 30s, 20s, 10s, all that, it's just we probably will never go back to that album. So let's get to it. This week is March 7th and I only have 5 albums that I'm going to be talking about. And the first one is the NBA YoungBoy More Leaks mixtape. To me, this album, this is just kind of there in my opinion. Like, it feels like it really should have never been released by YoungBoy. I feel like it's just songs that feel unfinished and are way too long. I will say, the songs were alright at best. I personally wasn't a fan of any of the songs really like off here. I feel like it was almost fan made in a way. Like, I feel like a YoungBoy fan just kind of went through and like picked out some maybe songs they heard that were leaks and they just put it in one playlist and they were just like, let's put that out and just call it More Leaks. Which, to be fair, if you're a YoungBoy fan, you're probably gonna like this album. Me, I don't care for it that much. I think it's just alright. And a lot of the songs, he's mumbling on them, and like I can see the vision, it's just not really thought out, I feel like. But overall, kind of just, I don't know, I just feel like it was kind of a mess and not a real project in a sense. Like, just kind of felt like a playlist and kind of just felt like rushed in a way. So for that reason, I'm only going to give the album 27 out of 100. Yeah, not great, but it is what it is. Okay, next we have, I believe this is how you say her name, which is Jenny. We have her album, which is Ruby. I believe she's a K-pop artist, or she was a part of a K-pop band. I don't really know too much about her. I kind of just went into this blind. I just saw that it was getting good reviews and that people were kind of liking it. And I also saw that Childish Gambino was on there and Caliuchis. Yeah, that was like the feature that I was really looking forward to, which we'll get to that. But I gotta say, I'm really surprised with the production that was on this album. It had a lot of different styles, I would say. Like, you definitely could see the pop influence. You could see like the Brazilian funk influence. You could see just a lot of just everything here, and I can appreciate that for someone who's been trying it. And if she is a K-pop star, then this doesn't sound like any other K-pop artist that I've heard before. Like I said, I'm not really the biggest K-pop fan like that. So yeah, the production was cool. Towards the beginning of the album, I thought that it was decent, and it kept me intrigued for pretty much the entire time. Near the end, it kind of fell off for me, just because I wasn't really into it like that. But that's just my personal opinion on the whole genre itself. So I will say, talking about the features on this album, the features that were on this album, I believe it was just Dua Lipa, Doechii, and then Caliuchis and Childish Gambino. I could be wrong there, but I think that's all that they had on this album. And I will say, Doechii's verse was actually pretty good. She's obviously on the rise, the uprise now after she won that Grammy, and the Big Anxiety track that dropped this weekend. So her verse was pretty good. Not surprised there. And I will say though, the Caliuchis and the Childish Gambino song, I forget what it's called to be exact. Like I forget what the song is called, but that song, I think Caliuchis was really good on that song. But for me, Childish Gambino, it was just a bit of a disappointment. I don't know what it was, if it was his vocal mix. I don't know if it was the actual vocals himself. I just feel like Caliuchis fit that track a lot better than he did. And Childish Gambino was just alright in my opinion. Like, I was just looking for something, I guess, a bit more. And it just felt like he didn't really need to be on that track. And I just feel like it would have been better with Caliuchis and Jenny herself. So as a rating, I'm going to give it a 64. Like I said, I still decently like it. And I think that it's decent enough. I just don't think personally I'm going to go back to it and going to go through any other songs like that. Like, for me, I'll let you know if I save any songs, which the first 2 albums I didn't save any. Next up, we have the Black Soprano Family and Ill Tone Beats. The production from Tone Beats, I gotta say, is really interesting and kind of kept me interested through the rest of the album. I wouldn't say the verses were all there. Like, there wasn't like a standout verse on this album. I wouldn't say none of them were bad. I just wouldn't say any of them were like great either. West Side Gun, I forget what is the song called. Off the first track, West Side Gun just, it's a West Side Gun bar, right? So he's just obviously talking, and he just goes, "I know where your kids go to daycare." That had me laughing so hard because I like, you hear like the memes about West Side Gun and like how he just be saying stuff and it just be like making no sense, but it's funny and it's hilarious, and it's just like, yeah. And that, it was just like, it was hilarious, but I don't know. It's just, I can't, I'm not going back and I'm not playing that song ever again, really. But nonetheless, the album was okay. Benny had a really good verse on The Outcome, and then I really liked Punctuality. I forget who was on that track, but Punctuality was a really good song as well. Those are the only two songs I saved, by the way, The Outcome and Punctuality. Other than that, the album was just okay, and I actually think the production is what really carried this album for me. The rating I'm gonna give it is just a flat 60. I think that it's decent. I don't think it's terrible. I just think that it's alright. Alright, now let's talk about a big hitter for today. We're gonna talk about Lady Gaga's new album, Mayhem. Believe it or not, this is actually my first Lady Gaga album. Maybe shocked, maybe not. Now, with that being said, I am really surprised by the production on this album. I don't really listen to Lady Gaga like that, so I don't really know anything about her sound. And from what I'm taking from this album, it sounds really, the production is there. Like, the production is there. Her voice, I don't know what it is for me. Like, I don't know if it's just Lady Gaga herself, but I just can't get into her voice like that. So I think that's the only reason why I'm not putting this album any higher for me. But from what I hear about this album in particular, I think that this one is supposed to be a little bit less mainstream than her normal work. But I mean, it's Lady Gaga, so it's still going to be somewhat mainstream and it's still going to be somewhat poppy. But it definitely doesn't feel overly pop. It just kind of feels a bit like alternative pop, if that even makes sense. Maybe industrial is the better word to say. But it just, there's so many different sounds on here that really caught my interest. Like, off of Zombie Boy, the guitar on there was phenomenal. Obviously, you have a massive song, Die With A Smile, which, in my opinion, I think is still a really good song. But the different areas that she explores on this album really caught my attention, and were kind of just unique in a way that I've never really heard from someone like a pop star like Lady Gaga, or a pop star just doing something like this. So props to her for doing that, for sure. Now, personally, I didn't save any other songs except for Die With A Smile. That doesn't mean this album wasn't good. It just doesn't mean I'm not going back to any of the songs, and I just didn't really vibe with any other song except for Die With A Smile. But overall, this one is probably the best album that has released this week. And with that being said, I'm gonna give it a cool solid 70 out of 100. Alright, and our last album for the day today, we have Tory Lanez's Peterson. Now, if you don't know, this album he recorded in jail, and at least for the most part, I think most of it was recorded in jail, and then obviously probably one of his engineers mixed it and produced it probably and just sent it out. This album, first of all, is way too long. The number of tracks isn't really the issue for me. It's how long each song is. Each song is about 5 minutes, or like it's like 3 minutes. There's so many songs on here that are like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. I think the lowest song, like the lowest runtime on a song on this album is 3 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. It could be like 2:30 or 2:45, but it's around 3 minutes, and it's just crazy to see that for 20 songs for 3 minutes straight, and you're talking about it for an hour and a half. To me, it just kind of, it left me really bored, and just kind of being like, okay, when can I get to the next song? Because after the 3 minute mark or the 4 minute mark, I was like, okay, I still have 2 minutes left of this song, and I had to keep on going. And I'm just like, I just want to skip it. It was kind of unbearable to listen to in a way where I'm just like, I can't do it. Like, it's just way too long. I think that there are some really good ideas on here, and I will give him props because this actually sounds really good. Like, his voice sounds really good on some of the songs, and even the production is really good. And I think that the songs that he actually is making, I think that they're decent, but I just think he overstayed his welcome way too long on most of the songs here. I think if each song was just cut down a minute or two, probably closer to the 2 minute mark, I think this album would have been a lot better, because you had great R&B cuts from here that I think actually would have been in the playlist. I think you had great rapping performances from him on here, but I don't know, it just felt like they kept every verse that he recorded on the song and then just put it out. I wish they would have cut a verse out or cut 2 verses out. Now, I will say he did like 4 or 5 songs on this album that were like double tracks, or if that, he did like an interlude and then a track, but it was on the same track. So it would like it was just way too long. But like I said before, again, great vocals. He had good ideas here. He just needed to cut down some of the runtime on here, and I think it would have been a lot better. Maybe even like you could probably cut down maybe 50% of the runtime here, and it would have been probably a great album actually. So this album to me is just okay at best. The best song on here is Lawyer Fees, and that's because it's not long, it's not too short, and it hits the point. You have a verse, boom, you're in, you're out. It's a song, you know? Everything else just feels like just way too much. So for that being said, I'm only gonna give this album a 39 out of 100. That about wraps it up this week for the albums that have come out during the week of March 7th. If you want to see all my reviews, you can go to my album of the year page. I'll put it in the link in the description below. It's where I have a lot of albums. Let me know what you guys thought about the albums in the comments below. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What'd you think of it? Just let me know. I'll definitely be replying back for sure. And make sure you subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. It should be a weekly video, probably coming out around Wednesdays, Tuesdays, hopefully. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.